Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I am bringing you some Arcane Mage gameplay. That's right, you heard it right. Arcane Mage. Haven't played my Mage pretty much this whole season, so this was like one of the first times I was playing with MAGE and Pyam, the Discipline Priest, and I think Frost is just in a spot right now where I wouldn't say it's unplayable. You could definitely play Frost, but the playstyle is just so boring and so Resident Sleeper. So I played Arcane RMP yesterday. We only did a couple of games. I actually had to go and do some RBGs because my team needed me. But in the couple of games that we did, I had, well, we won, so I had fun. But the main thing is I enjoyed the playstyle. I'm very excited to say is I enjoyed the playstyle, and that's, you know, more than winning or losing. What I always care about is enjoying the playstyle of Mage. So I think I'll be playing more Arcane in the future if we can find some games on it. That's always the hard part. But we got the full kidney on the Shaman in the opener, the cheap shot coming out on the Shadow Priest. The Shaman has Earth Shield, so we're going to go onto the Shadow Priest here, going for that full polymorph. I use Mass Invisibility, Polymorph, and Blink to secure that sheep, and the Shaman does go ahead and trinket that polymorph. I get the resheep onto his trinket. So at this point, guys, the Shaman's on Stun DR and has no trinket, and he has no Earth Shield. So Shaman's not quite an option because guess what? He's on Stun DR. Feral, or a Priest rather, is on Stun DR, and he has Earth Shield, so you don't really want to go on the Priest. And then the Feral is off Stun DR and popped Incarn. So what's the obvious choice? Pop quiz. We're going on the Feral Druid, right? Feral Druid is the target of choice right now. Right here, I'm just Arcane Explosion, Arcane Explosion, Arcane Explosion, Arcane Barrage, over and over as type of just like in-between damage for the goes. And the way you want to play Arcane, I think, is in between your goes, Arcane Explosion and Barrage, and then during your goes is when you want to use Missiles, Arcane Power, Presence of Mind, Instant Arcane Blast, and then your Barrages, of course, as well, if it's not going to break your CC. So we're going on to the Priest once again here. Right when the Shaman comes off DR in about 3-4 seconds, I can go for a full Polymorph. He does use that Grounding Totem. I have Kick available, but that Grounding Totem would eat it if I did decide to use it. We decided to go Shaman here and fear the Priest. I'm not too sure about this. I ended up getting kicked, so I couldn't really get much damage done at all. So the Shaman pretty much stayed at full HP, but I do manage to land the kick onto the full sheep onto the Shaman after the kidney shot and the cheap shot. So it's actually really good. So now the Feral or the Priest are both viable kill options. They both don't have Earth Shield. They're both off of DR, so either one really works right here. And we do decide, I'm not really quite sure what Naj is going to stun yet, but I do kick that Mass Dispel. Very important that you kick that Mass Dispel, or else the sheep would have broken. Kick the Mass Dispel, get a resheep onto the Shaman, and we can either go onto the Feral or to the Priest. You're still kind of waiting. We have 3 sheeps, and it looks like we are going to go onto the Shadow Priest right now. The full blind follows all 3 of the sheeps, and we do get that dispersion, so there's no dispersion from the Priest available anymore. Keeping up some consistent pressure, hitting the Feral just a little bit in the meantime. Still both viable kill options. Resto Shaman is a viable kill option, but it would have to be set up pretty darn perfect. Priest goes into silence, so I pop my Temp Shield. Guys, you want to use Temp Shield whenever your healer's in that CC. Getting a little bit of consistent pressure onto the Priest, getting him nice and low. Managed to land that Blink full sheep, and I actually make a huge mistake here and use the Barrage when they were stacked. So Barrage, guys, is going to split and damage multiple targets, and I do break my own sheep there, which is very unfortunate. Do manage to get that resheep to land before that kidney does fade and go for one more sheep. However, there is a slight gap before we get that fear. That doesn't really matter, though. The Priest used Life Swap onto the Feral. He swaps the Feral. The Feral's low, and he does pop his wall and his trinket. So Feral could die. Priest is still very vulnerable. Doesn't have Disperse, Trinket, or Swap. Next CC we get, we pretty much win the game. Everyone's low HP. The Shaman uses Link. At this point, I'm just cleaving Arcane Explosion, Arcane Barrage, Missiles, and it looks like the Priest will go down. With just the counterspell there onto the Shaman. So, fun game there. It's really refreshing to play Arcane because it does have some type of consistency, and I think that's really what Frost is missing right now. It doesn't have any type of consistent damage, doesn't have the explosions into the Barrage for that consistent pressure. But yeah, I have been enjoying this type of playstyle, playing Arcane RMP on my Mage. And in this match, we are fighting a Frost Death Knight, a Windwalker Monk, and a Disciplined Priest. And we're going for similar strategies here, so we're going to keep an eye on who has Trinket, who doesn't have Trinket. We're going to go for CC chains onto the Priest. A little unfortunate. Naj sapped already full, so by the time we open, that sap's almost off. We do manage to get the Fear onto the Priest, and the Priest does will the full Fear. Kidney Shot and Gormaz coming out on the DK. Big damage onto the Death Knight right away. I don't pop Mass Invis, not being a super big opener here. We do get AMS, though. The full blind comes out onto the Windwalker, and I actually sheep the trinket on the Windwalker. So Windwalker, definitely a very, Mez hosted my stream with 888 viewers. Thanks, Mez. The Windwalker has no trinket available, so we can definitely kill him next swap. DK looks like he still has Icebound Fortitude. Dark Archangel coming out from the Discipline Priest. This Priest doesn't have trinket though for like 17, 18 seconds. AMZ comes out. Next CC we land onto the Priest. We can definitely do a big go onto the Windwalker or the DK, really, whichever one we want. The Stun DR on the Windwalker is still up for about 6 more seconds, so 5 more seconds. So we're going to have to wait and see. In the meantime, guys, Arcane Explosion, Arcane Barrage, Arcane Explosion, Arcane Barrage, keeping up that consistent pressure. Land the full sheep onto the Priest. He does have trinket available now. The full kidney bomb comes out onto the Monk, though they are a little bit stacked. We get a cheap shot onto the trinket, and the Monk just goes down in that bomb. Quick game there, similar strategy. CC with the kidney shot into the full polymorph, and you know, kind of burst down with the missiles, with the cheap shots, and with the fears, and on the off target as well. Okay, and one last game here, guys. We have Survival Hunter, Feral Druid, and a Disciplined Priest. This is a comp that was really good, and then Ferals were kind of in a weak spot for a while, but ever since these Feral buffs, Ferals are a little bit tankier now, if you guys didn't know. Got a little bit of versatility buffs, and just they take a little bit less damage. Ever since that change came in about a week ago, it's been a very, very viable comp. Right away, the Priest is playing a Relentless. We want to keep that in mind. The Hunter pet stacks himself at full HP, but we do manage to land that full sheep out of the cheap shot. Right when Hunter uses pet stack, that's when we kind of want to swap to the Feral, which we do, and we get his trinket immediately. So we open up on the Hunter, we get pet stack. We swap to the Feral, we get trinket. We get that resheep onto the Priest. See if we can get one more sheep. There's the third sheep. I'm not sure if we're going to follow it with a fear. Doesn't look like it. If we would have landed a fear, might have been a little bit more CC, but we don't quite need it yet because everything's still on DR. Right now, the Hunter comes off stun DR, the Feral comes off stun DR, Incarnation has been popped. We kidney bomb the Feral Druid with no trinket. This is a great kidney bomb here because the Priest is still on diminishing return for polymorph for about 4 more seconds, and the Feral, you know, is already 70% HP, goes into that full kidney bomb, and I have my Arcane Power still available, my Presence of Mind still available, I have 2 stacks of Arcane Missiles still available, so I am just pumping this guy. However, it looks like he is going to survive because of that Power Word Barrier, so great Power Word Barrier by their Disciplined Priest. We get the full blind out onto the Priest. Feral is, you know, popping his wall to survive, has Incarnation up for a little bit longer. The full sap follows the full blind. I ported back right there so I don't have to hop into my ice block quite yet. I think my Priest was a little bit scared for me right here, but I keep kiting. And one of the main things about Arcane Mage, it has a little bit more consistent damage. The burst damage is there, but it's so hard to kill an Arcane Mage because I have basically 2 additional blinks as an Arcane Mage. I can port back and then blink forward once again, so I'm all over the place. Plus I have Greater Invis and Mass Invis, which help you survive as well. So my Priest goes into a full trap here. I'm at half HP. If I was Frost, that would have been a block. But as Arcane, I just keep blinking all over the place. They can't hit me. Full Fear comes out onto the Hunter, into that sheep, onto the Dispel. It looks like we're going to want to kill Feral Druid here because he has no trinket available. What I want you guys to keep in mind is I'm sheeping the Hunter and then sheeping the Priest. This way I can't get stopped. So I sheep the Hunter, then sheep the Priest. This way the Hunter can't kick me. The Feral's in the full stuns. Priest is in that kidney shot into that full polymorph. I do get kicked now. A little bit more damage coming in. Follow that with a resap and a Bell of Silence, and the Feral does go down. So nice CC there. Arcane survivability really showing through. Back and forth. I didn't have to use an ice block the whole game because they pretty much couldn't hit me. As long as you're using your mass invisibility correctly or greater invisibility correctly, getting those CC chains, I think this is actually a pretty decent comp, and I want to play much more of it in the future. Guys, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, make sure to thumbs it down so I know to not upload something like this in the future. Talk to me in the comments below about what you guys want to see next time, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!